friends, how are you doing? Today is Monday, May 12th, and I am back with an update video. It has been about 7 weeks since I uploaded my last one, so I hope you have all been well and you've just been stitching up all of the things. If you're brand new to my channel, welcome. My name is Olivia. Yesterday was Mother's Day here in the US, so happy belated Mother's Day to all those who celebrate. For me, it was a work day, and I've been working. I worked Mother's Day Sunday and then the 2 Sundays leading up to Mother's Day, so my schedule just got all out of whack, which is why I did not upload a video as promised at the beginning of May. I mean, technically it's still kind of the beginning, but by the time I upload today's video, it'll be about mid-May. Life's just been lifing. I don't even know what to say. Recording videos has just become a challenge, and I really do hope at some point that I can return to a schedule. Once again, I will shoot to upload a video the beginning of June. We'll see how it goes. But for all of those who watched my previous video, thank you so very much. I really, really appreciate each and every one of you guys who stops by to hang out with me, to see what I've been working on, who leaves a comment. I really, really appreciate it. So thank you so much. Didn't get a comment a couple of videos back about Freddy, and the person who left the comment wanted to know, because he had been chewing on his bone. And I like to say something like, hey, you're gonna hear Freddy, he's chewing on his bone, I apologize, what have you. And so she left a note saying, well, perhaps I could shut the door and, leave him out of the room. No, I'm not gonna lock my dog up so I can record a video. If it ever came to that and I needed to, I just would not record ever again. No, I'm not gonna lock my dog up in another room while I record these videos. Freddy is even though he's a family dog, he's very much my dog, and he goes where I go. So if I'm home, he's with me. If he loses sight of me, he will run like a wild banshee to try to find me. So no, I'm not going to lock him up in another room. Then we would have a loud problem, because he definitely would not like that at all. At the beginning of the video, he's usually chewing on a bone, and as I progress through the video, he'll be napping on the back of the couch unless somebody rings the doorbell or Amazon comes or the mail, or somebody where he needs to guard the fortress. But he very much will be out in this room with me all the time. And speaking of Freddy, in my last video, I did mention that he was unwell. He did end up going to the vet like the next day, basically diagnosed with like gastroenteritis. And once he started taking his antibiotics, he felt 100 times better, and he was immediately back to his old self. He's doing great. He's due for a haircut. He goes in tomorrow, so he looks very shaggy. I'll try to insert some pictures of him, but he's looking very shaggy these days. I love it because he looks like a grumpy old man, and it just makes me so happy. But he definitely is due for a cut. We've been having some warmer weather, and just him having that heavy shaggy coat makes him pretty miserable. So I will miss my grumpy old man for a couple of weeks until it starts to grow back in. But thank you to all of you guys who sent well wishes to Fred. He's doing so much better, and I'm so very happy he is. I think I'm gonna go ahead and start with the progress that I have made over these many weeks. At the beginning of April, I started a daily reminder by Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread. I started it, Tara Solly Stitches was doing this as her birthday start, or her birthday sal, so I decided it was a great opportunity to start it as well and work on it. I think I worked on it about 4, maybe 5 days before I rotated to some assignments that I needed to work on, and this is how far I got. I almost broke up with it. I was working on the sawtooth border, was not enjoying it at all. I was having a lot of trouble seeing the holes, and then it wasn't laying perfectly, so I was spending a lot of time ripping out and restitching, and I just did not enjoy that border at all. I decided to abandon the border for now and start working on the alphabet and kind of go into the sampler a little bit. And I'm glad that I did, because I liked it so much better. Just that border gave me fits and starts. So I've decided to rip the border out, and when I do eventually finish it and frame it, I'll just frame it a little bit closer. A couple of other stitchers have stitched it without the border. I think Mrs. Jones Stitches just finished hers and framed it, and she does not have the sawtooth border. It looks great. So I definitely am going to follow their lead and take the border out and then just continue on. It'll be a little while before I get back to this one. Right now I'm kind of in patriotic mode, and that's kind of all I can think about stitching. And so maybe, you know, down the line in the fall or Christmas season, or, you know, what have you, when I'm feeling spring vibes, I'll pick it up again and start working on it, and then, you know, try to get it finished. So I'm stitching this on a piece of 36 count Arboreal by Cedar River Linens, which is the called for linen. And I'm using all of the called for threads, stitching at 1/2. And this is such a beautiful piece of linen in person. I can see this particular linen being used for so many other projects, a winter project or even a Halloween project. It's yummy, yummy. Before I forget, and since I actually remembered to bring them out here, these are the threads. So just a gorgeous springtime palette. This is my springtime palette. These are all the colors that I like to use, and you know, whenever I'm looking for spring, that's kind of the palette that I go for. So that's another reason why this was the perfect project for me to work on. I did have another new start. This one I started day before yesterday. It's called Be Still My Heart Hydrangea Kit by Samplers Not Forgotten. Hydrangeas are my favorite flower, and I have purchased 3 so far this season. We overwintered 2 from last year that are going to be planted, but 3 brand new plants, and I'm so excited. I love hydrangeas, and I plan to get a couple of more. They're my favorite flower. So when I saw this kit, I knew I had to stitch this for myself because I love it, love it, love it. So I started it day before yesterday. This is 2 evenings of stitching. Please forgive the little border linen that I have around it. So it came with a piece of linen. It would have fit in my hoop perfectly, but I like to stitch two-handed. So I just added bits of linen that I have in my stash. Anytime I cut linen off of a project, I try to save it so that way when I have these smaller projects, I can add it to the sides and make it big enough to fit into my Q-snap, because again, I like to stitch two-handed. So this is the progress that I made. So I'm hoping to get this finished in the next couple of days. And the kit does come with everything that you need to stitch it and finish it, except for the stuffing. But I'm excited to get this one done, and this is going to be so perfect to have around the summer. This is being stitched, I think, on a piece of 36 count Confederate Grey by Weeks Dye Works, and I believe it's all Weeks Dye Works threads, and it's being stitched 1/2. So I love it, love it, love it. Next up is Steward Hardman by Needlework Press. I'm stitching this with my friend Yvette. The amount of stitching that I had assigned for the month of April was this chunk right here. So all the house, the ground, and then whatever was left of the side border, and then the border underneath. It took a little while, I'm not gonna lie, and that house is a little mega mini beast. I just never thought it was gonna end. But I'm so very happy to have the house complete. I love it. And here's my progress. So a couple things I changed. There's a little baby sheep underneath the house, and you were supposed to stitch the sheep over 1. I didn't. I stitched it over 2 because you can't really tell. And the only one that's going to know is if somebody has stitched the over 1, and then they come visit me. Now the next little bit of stitching does have a fair bit of over one, which I will just be doing a 10th stitch. And that is what I did in the verse. I just did a 10th stitch. But I love how she is coming along. So happy again to have that house complete. And I can't wait to begin working on the next portion. I am stitching Steward Hardman on a piece of 36 count Vintage Buttercream by Lakeside Linens, and I'm using Classic Colorworks, and the conversion is listed in the chart, and I'm stitching at 1/2. And at some point very, very soon, I need to start charting out my great-grandmother's information and get working on stitching it so that that way when I get over here, I'm all done. So the next little bit of stitching is basically this chunk right here. And the people do have a fair bit of over one. I will probably do a 10th stitch unless I'm finding that it's not good enough coverage for the little parts, then I will do a full cross. But looking forward to working on it, not looking forward to the over one. But I plan on, by the time I upload my next video, this segment has to be done because I'm going to shoot to try to record my June video probably about the same time that I'm doing this one. So I definitely need to, that May assignment needs to be done. The next project I picked up and worked on was the Houses of Hawthorne Hollow by Carriage House Samplings. We were working on this block right here, which was block number 8. And I'm also working on this with my friend Yvette. Now on my end of the stitching, to go from the fill-in on the house of Sarah and then the lawn, which basically was all fill-in, to finish that assignment and then to immediately jump onto this one, which the only part of it left was to fill in the house. It became very challenging for me because all I felt like I was doing was building houses. But I stuck with it and I got my April assignment done and I finished block number 8 and I love it. I love how it turned out, patriotic, and it's absolutely perfect. I am in love. So I did change out a lot of the DMC that was called for. A lot of it was way darker or the color was completely off. And I wanted my house to look more like the photo and just be patriotic. And I'm so, so happy that I did change it. I love it. I think it looks so great. And I'm stitching Houses of Hawthorne Hollow on a piece of 40 count Heritage by Picture This Plus. And I am using a variety of DMC threads, stitching at 1/2. And there's a little close up. So lots of solid stitching on that house. And I was on the struggle bus, but so there's another project that I finished that I picked up right after I worked on this one, and that one I struggled on. But it just was like back-to-back houses, so I don't know that that was such a hot idea, but it just was kind of funny that it worked out that way. Just house, house, house. Am I working on a house now? No, flowers. It's been a nice change. House, 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 flowers. So I need to sit down and pull threads for block number 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, which is this one down here. And I'm looking forward to working on it. I am going to change a lot of the colors on it because it definitely comes across as, like the color palette comes across as being like a fright house. And I think I might tone it down a little bit. We'll see. We'll see how adventurous I get. I might just get it as close as I possibly can, or I might completely change it. I might go on Pinterest and see if I can find some inspiration and go from there. But looking forward to getting to that. And obviously it's a night scene, so yeah, I got a lot to do. The next little bit of progress is definitely the saddest. It is Heartstring Samplery, His Eye on the Sparrow. And I vividly remember this, like in the past 4 videos, I have repeatedly said, I need to find more time to work on this. it's been my Sunday project. The past 3 Sundays I've been working, so by the time I get home, I'm just kind of mentally tired, and I just pick up what I worked on Saturday and continued on. And I hate that I've been doing that, but it just seems way easier. And so this one's kind of got a bit of the shaft. I did work on it for 2 Sundays. And then the past 3, no, I worked on it 3 Sundays and 3 not. Which is very vexing. Anyway, this is a progress that I've made. I'm stitching it on a piece of 40 count, One More Reproduction by B Stitch Me, and I'm using the called for thread, stitching it 1/2. I'm also stitching it with my friend Michelle, Cozy Egg, and I've been horrible about checking in with her. But Michelle, if you're watching this, I promise I will get back to this again soon, and I will be bugging you every single Sunday. Working those 3 Sundays really just, not only did it mess up what days of the week I thought it was, but it just messed everything up. Like, it's going to take a little while to recoup and like get back on track again. Like, I have today and tomorrow off, and then I'm back to work. But yes, anyway, progress. Oh my goodness. One of these days I'll get back on it. I feel, and I think I said this in my last video, I think what I'm going to do sometime in the summer is I'm going to have Sparrow week, and all I'm going to do all that week is work on His Eye on the Sparrow. Be sometime in the summer, just kind of in between projects, just that week is going to be dedicated to His Eye on the Sparrow and just work on him. I did have a couple of finishes. The first one is by Stacy Nash Primitives, and it's Jack-o'-lantern, Sewing Pocket, and Chatelaine. This project was one I started last year. I think I had originally planned to try to get it done by Halloween, and I am ashamed to admit I forgot about it. It went back into the Mocking Basket of Whips, and I just completely forgot about it until I started going through all of my projects, and then I found it. So after I finished the project before this one, I decided to pick it up and start working on it and get it done. And I'm so glad that I did. I stitched it on the called for 36 count Havana by Weeks Dye Works. I used the called for charcoal, also by Weeks Dye Works. I posted a picture of this on Instagram the day after I finished it, and it was all just blown out. And no matter what I did, what adjustments I made, you know, where I photographed it, it still was just blowing it way out, and it was making the threads look blue, which I suppose they do have kind of a blue cast tone, but it's kind of like a blue-black. Anyway, now this is the true color that is showing up in the viewfinder. I loved working on it. Not sure how I'm going to fully finish it, whether I'm going to frame it or mount it to a board or, you know, make it into the sewing pocket. The problem with making it into the sewing pocket is I'm not sure, you know, what I would do with it, where I would put it, because space is kind of limited. So there's a part of me that thinks that maybe I should try to, you know, maybe mount it to a board and then stitch these 2 little, I'm going to say buttons. They're not buttons, but, you know, stitch those 2 and kind of hang it off of it. So I just need to try to decide before Halloween, because I don't want this waiting. So I think that's kind of the direction that I'm leaning towards. I would just need to find a board that fits this. And then, of course, it's deciding what kind of a board. Decisions. But so glad to have this one done, and I'm going to try really, really hard to get it fully finished before Halloween. The last finish I have is Butternut Tavern by Stacy Nash. Picked this one back up and started working on it last month. Tried to go for a finish, but ran out of time before I needed to pick up my assignments. So once assignments were done, I picked it up and just decided to work on it until it was complete. I basically had got to the house part, so I went from the house on Sarah to the house on houses to the house on this one. By the time I got to this one, I just literally felt like all I was doing was stitching houses. just constant fill in. I was getting a little bit burnt out, which is hard to do because I love stitching houses, but here is my finish and I'm so super glad to have it done. Definitely quite a bit of celebration happening when I finished it. So I stitched Butternut Tavern on a piece of 40 count Dead Sea Scroll by Seraphim Fabrics, and I stitched it 1/2, and I love it. I'm gonna frame it, so I need to find just the perfect frame for it. And this one I would like to get done and framed by autumn, because I feel like this one, although it would go year round, it definitely has all of those beautiful autumn colors that I love and that gorgeous mustard house. I mean, I'm so glad to have it done. But I loved stitching it, and this linen is to die for. I want to get some more Dead Sea Scroll. I was going to order some from Seraphim Fabrics and decided to order 2 other fabrics. So what I'm trying to do is every couple of months order a couple pieces of linen. So the next time I order, I'm going to get some Dead Sea Scroll, but I love it. It's so beautiful. Turned out fantastic. And then the pressure, of course, will be on to find the perfect frame that complements it. But I definitely think going forward that, you know, if I'm going from like one house fill-in to another, I need to put something in between, because I was making myself crazy. It was worth it though, because it's finished and I'm so excited. One thing, my initials here, I don't know how well they are showing up. On the chart, Stacy Nash stitched her own. She did not provide an alphabet. So I used an alphabet out of the Ultimate Sampler Motif book by Brenda Keyes. I found one that kind of mimicked the scroll that Stacy Nash had picked. I don't know if it's showing up. It's really faint. So the linen, or the thread that you use to stitch it, is Lexington green, and it's a very light mint. And so it doesn't always show up very good. But I basically just went into the motif book and I chose a motif that looked very similar to what she did. And I stitched all 3 of my initials to kind of fill in that space. So, looks good. I love it. This time of year puts me into a patriotic stitching mood. The last couple of years, I've tried to put some patriotic stitching in there, but I am always working on other stuff. And this year, the way that I've kind of approached my stitching is to allow for me to, as the seasons change, I've done it so that I can also change what I'm stitching and still work on my assignments and still work on projects in the Mocking Basket of Whips. So this time of year, it always puts me in the mood for patriotic stitching. And the first thing I did is I went into the Mocking Basket of Whips and I pulled out the patriotic projects that I have in there, and I made a decision. There were 3 of them. So of the 3, I made a decision on which one I wanted to work on and finish. And it was Flag Folk by Not Forgotten Farms. So I started this one last year. Or actually, I started this one in the summer of 2023 when I was starting all the things. And I picked it up last year with the intention of getting it finished. And then I had made like this colossal error, and I hated the linen. So I scrapped it and started over again. Well, by the time I did all of that, the 4th of July had come and gone, and I had lost my patriotic bug. So this year I decided to start a little bit earlier in May. And when I finish my assignments, I will pick this up and I will start working on it, and I will work on it until it's finished. So this is the progress that I made last year. I did have to change out some of the threads because the one issue that I was having on the other piece of linen was there was a lot of blending. And then on this one, it would have been really similar because the linen went a little bit darker. So this is a piece of 40 count Time Goes By Seraphim, which In person, it's a little bit more green, but on the viewfinder, it's a little bit more beigey. It's a beautiful piece of linen. I love it. So I still have quite a ways to go. Before I, as I was thinking about patriotic stitching, I thought I was a little bit farther ahead. It's not a lot of stitching, but I still have a little ways to go. But as long as I meet my goal of getting it done, I will be happy. The threads that I swapped out was, called for is Weeks Dye Works Bullfrog, and I switched it to Forest Glade. Dolphin, I switched out to Blacksmith Blue. Schenectady, I switched out to Grecian Gold, and Terracotta, I switched out to Mulberry. And I think all of them so far have been used in this little bit, except for maybe the green. But I think the green will look good. It's more of a deeper green than the one that I had. So I'm excited to see how this one progresses and get it a little bit farther along. These are the threads that I'm using. So very, red, white, and blue. All of those deep Americana colors that I really, really love. So that is, after I finish my assignments, I'm going to work on Flag Folk and work on it until I get it done. If it ends up going into the next month where I need to, think about working on my assignments again, I'll just bump it until I get those done. So just kind of like cycling through those 3 projects. But I am excited. It's one of those projects that even now I'm starting to see, because stitchers are posting their patriotic pictures and I'm starting to see it, and I'm just like, I wish I had this done. So it was almost a must that I needed to work on it and get it done. This next part might get a little confusing. So I've made some purchases, but I made the purchases based on the plans that I have for summer. So what I'm going to try to do this year is to stitch more patriotic starting the month of May, and I want to take it all the way through until August. What generally happens after the 4th of July is I get burnt out of patriotic and I want to focus on autumn stitching. But this year I'm going to take the whole summer and dedicate it to patriotic stitching. Christine Hollis Hands Creates does a stitch along, and I can't remember what she calls it. I'll scroll it down below, but it starts Memorial Day and it ends on Labor Day. And you just pick a project, and then that's what you work on through the summer with a goal of getting it done by Labor Day. So I do have a project that I picked out for that. And again, I will scroll the hashtag that she uses. I tried last year to do it and I failed horribly. So my friend Florence, she sent me a package of duplicate charts that she had. So she passed them along to me, and one of them was United We Stand by Blackbird Design. So I did not have this one. And the project that I want to work on for Christine's stitch along is called The Clustered Stars. This one is a needle book that you create, and this is what it looks like. But a couple of years ago when I was on Pinterest, a Pinterest pin came across where it had clustered stars, and then it had the alphabet either above or below it. I can't remember how they did it, but it just kind of like stuck in my mind. So when I was flipping through this book and I saw it, and then I saw the alphabet, I knew that this was the perfect project to stitch for Christine's stitch along. So what I'll do is I will stitch this part of it, and then probably above it, I will stitch the alphabet. And I'm not sure if there is a picture that I can show you without, oh, here it is. So it's this alphabet right here. So I'll stitch the alphabet above it, the clustered stars down below it, and then I'll put a border around it. I just think that'll be the perfect summer project. I had a piece of 36 count Wren by Picture This Plus that was in my stash. And I think that was the called for. And then I picked up threads. So some of these threads I had in my stash and some I ordered from Farm Girl Dry Goods, and they came last week. So I will be able to start that project. In the same book, United We Stand is another project that I'm so super excited to stitch, and it's because I found the most perfect frame for it. A couple weeks ago, we went to the Red Mitten Market, which is north of Canby. It's a market that takes place twice a year. In the spring, it goes a couple of weeks. It's usually, I think it goes through this coming weekend and it's done until October. And then it's opened a lot longer, October, November, and December. But in the spring, they just do a couple of weeks and then it closes down again. It's got handmade items as well as vintage items for sale. And while I was looking around, I found this frame for $5. And I couldn't pass it by. I had no idea what I was going to stitch in it. I just wanted to find something because it is literally the coolest frame ever. Here, there was a big mirror, which I took the mirror out, and this piece of cardboard that you see is the template that I made from it, so that way I know how big to, how big of a piece I need, and then for finishing. I'm not going to leave this piece of cardboard in here. I'm going to have to use a piece of mat board when I finish it because there's not enough room to have so much bulk in the frame. But so excited to find this one, and for $5. So we left there and we went to Aurora and we were walking around some of the antique stores. There was another one of these. It was smaller and they wanted $18 for it. And I paid $5 for one that's double the size. So I'm so glad that I didn't walk away from it. I would have regretted it for the rest of my life. So when I got home, the race was on to kind of, find something that I felt like would look really good in it. And I was, I had saw Christine's post about her summer stitch along, and I was thinking about clustered stars. And while I was flipping through the book, I saw this one, which this came out. It was like there's a Facebook group a couple of years ago. Blackbird had released this. And I thought about buying it, and then I changed my mind, kind of went back and forth, but it popped right into my head almost immediately. And so you finish it like this. So of course you've got this, the big circle, and then you have the outside border, and it's made to fit a square. But I got to looking at the chart and realized that if I just shave off a little bit of this, because it's just flowers on the four corners. So if I just take that off and maybe shorten it and help create that circle, it's going to fit perfectly in my frame. I did the math, I did the measurements, I did everything. And on a piece of 40 count linen, it'll fit in this frame. So I'm so excited. So basically it'll just be figuring out what one I want to start first, whether it's going to be cluster stars or whether it's going to be the one for my eagle frame. I have a feeling it'll be this one first. It'll just be if I can find the perfect linen, because right now I'm kind of like on the fence about two different ones. The called for was a piece of Wren. I might end up picking up a piece of 40 count Wren because I only have a 36 count. When I did the math, it wasn't going to fit. I would lose some of the stitches and I would have to alter it. If I do it on a 40 count, I don't have to alter anything but those 4 points. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick up a piece of 40 count linen, or maybe use a piece in my stash if I have one that's going to work. But I'm so excited. So that's going to be in summer plans. I'm so excited. I did do a little bit of shopping. Some of the stuff I had ordered before my last video, and it came in a few days after I had recorded. From Seraphim Fabrics, I ordered a piece of 40 count old stationery. I've never stitched on this particular color before. I've seen a lot of people stitch projects, and it's kind of always been one of those ones that have been in and out of my shopping cart, and I finally decided to go for it. This one, I This one was one of the ones I thought might work for my eagle frame, but I think I need to go with something that's a little bit more neutral and not quite so gray, because a lot of the threads I think are a little bit on the gray scale. So 40 count old stationery, and it's beautiful. And then I got a piece of 40 count Lady Godiva, which I think is awesome. And this one I'm going to save for a Halloween piece. I love the modeling. I think it just looks fantastic. So very happy with those two purchases. And then in a couple of months, I probably will purchase a couple more pieces of linen. I'm trying to build my stash up a little bit, especially like my 36 count stash. It's a little on the thin side. A couple of weeks ago, I was on Instagram, and I don't remember who it was that I first saw post it, but they had posted a post from the Primitive Needle, and there was a big announcement. So the Primitive Needle, the original designer was Lisa Roswell, and she passed away in 2011. And the Primitive Needle charts have been very hard to come by. Usually when you see them on the secondary market, they are extremely expensive, especially this one. But Lisa's daughter Mariah decided to digitize her mom's charts and then sell them. It kind of sounds like through the years they were approached by various people wanting to buy the rights and then reproduce them. And so Mariah decided that her mom would want her to offer them for sale again. So I was super excited because there are so many Primitive Needle charts that back in the day I would have 110% bought. I loved Lisa's style, everything. And so by the time I got back into cross stitching, I think she had been gone several years. And, you know, so you'd come across a chart that you just, or, you know, like a finished sampler that somebody had done. They're like, this is by the Primitive Needle, and you'd go search for it, and then you'd find out that somebody was selling it for like $1,000. So I was super, super thrilled when Mariah announced that she was going to be reproducing her mom's charts, and I checked every couple of days to see if there was any sort of an update, and then the day came. And she activated the website, and she showed a blackened sky. And this chart has been on my big bucket wish list forever. Since I got back into cross stitching, I came across this one, loved it, but could never afford to purchase it from the secondary market because it was really, really expensive. And all I could hope was that someday they might be available for sale again. And so the day finally came, and I was ecstatic. I got home from work and I went on Instagram, and it was the very first post I saw from the Primitive Needle, and Mariah announcing that the site was live and that there were some charts for sale. And in the day since I've purchased this, she's added a couple more charts. So I'm so super excited. Cannot believe that I have this. So I would like to get this kitted up. I also have Witch's Hollow that I borrowed from a friend, and I'm trying to decide. That one, I have the linen for it, but I'm having issues deciding on thread. And then this one, I also need to decide on thread, but I would really, 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 really like to start this one in like September, October, and work on it because I love it so much. I'm so happy. I'm just like giddy that this is available. I will put a link to the Primitive Needle's website down below. She has several of her mom's charts available for digital download. She's going to be adding more, so definitely go and check it out. Both Blackened Sky and Witch's Hollow is available, and I know those are two very sought after charts. So I'm super excited to see those charts come available. And I know her daughter will never watch my video, but thank you, Mariah. I'm so very grateful that you decided to re-release your mom's patterns. It's just awesome. The next little bit of mail I got was from Not Forgotten Farms. I think it was at the beginning of last week, maybe. I had been on Pinterest and I came across this pin, and I had seen it a few times, but there was no information with it. It was just basically people reposting or repinning it, and then it would pop up again and again, but there was never any information of who the designer was, or even who you could ask, the person who had stitched it, who had posted it. And I really, really liked it. So I snapped a picture of it and I put it in my Instagram stories and asked anyone if they knew who the designer was. I would love to stitch it. And a few minutes later, Lori from Not Forgotten Farms sent me a message and said it was hers. And I was thrilled. I was so happy. I couldn't even tell you how giddy I was. So the chart is heart and hand. And the person had stitched just the hand with the word friend over it. And then they had finished it into an oval hoop. I mean, it's absolute perfection in finishing. And I don't know who it was. I don't feel comfortable posting the picture because I have no idea who it was that originally stitched it and finished it. And I wouldn't want to just throw it out there and then have somebody get upset, but it's fabulous. So I immediately ordered it from Lori because I knew it was coming in the mail, and so many of Lori's charts I would love to stitch. I decided it couldn't come alone. I narrowed it down and I got the Witch's Garden sampler, which I love it. Love it, love it. And it would be a great companion piece for Black and Sky. So I picked it up and it's all stitched DMC Threads, and I can't wait to work on this one too. So I'll put a link to Lori's shop, Not Forgotten Farms, down below. Go check it out. She has a lot of beautiful designs and she's one of my favorite designers. A little earlier in the year, Tina Waltman started re-releasing her charts. She does it through she'll post them on Facebook, and then she posts them on Instagram, and then you just contact her via email and you let her know which ones you want, and then you can do it through PayPal. Really, really easy. And I've been meaning to order a couple of her charts. Basically, I want to order all of her charts. But there were a couple that I knew I wanted to get, and one in particular. So I contacted her and I ordered Happy Jack. And this is one that I've wanted to stitch forever. It was out of print. If you found it on the secondary market, it was a lot of money. And so when Tina announced that she was going to start re-releasing her own patterns, I was ecstatic. And so I did order from her. Super easy. She's so wonderful. And I'm super excited to have this one. So this is going to be a small that I will work on sometime between now and Halloween. And then I also ordered Red, White, and Bluebirds. And I'm going to stitch this one. It's just a little small, and try to get this one done in time for the 4th of July. So love both of those. And Tina has so many other amazing patterns. What I will do is I will put a link to her Facebook because I don't know, not everybody has Instagram, and I don't know. It would probably just be easier to do it through Facebook. You can also just email her directly. So maybe what I'll do is I'll put a link to her Facebook and then put her email down below. But on both Instagram and Facebook, she has albums that she's created, and you basically just go into each album. It's organized by season, and then you would just write down which ones that you want, and then you would contact her via email, and then, finish the transaction. That way it came super quick. I ordered both from Lori and Tina the same day, and they both came on the same day, like 4 days later. It was something crazy. They just flew here. So all of those charts, all of them are going to be future stitching. I wish I could stitch them all right now. I did get a little bit of happy mail over these mini weeks. The first little bit, I did get a little bit of happy mail over the past couple of weeks. Florence sent me a package, and you've already seen one of the charts that she sent me, United We Stand, which is already kitted up and ready to go. But she sent me some duplicate charts that she had in her stash and told me to keep what I want and then, you know, offer up the others as giveaway whenever. So she sent me Home Sweet Home by Shakespeare's Peddler. So sweet. And, you know, I have that love of houses. The Light of Winter by Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread. I do not have this one. This one's been in and out of my shopping cart a ridiculous amount of time. Home is Where My Samplers Are by the Scarlet House. This one's so sweet. Plum Street Samplers, American Welcome. And God Saw by Teresa Kogut, which I definitely am going to have to stitch this one at some point because I just love it. And even my husband commented that he loved it as well. So thank you so very much, Florence. You're the best. Thank you, thank you. Then I got another little bit of Quilty Happy Mail from my friend Teresa, and she made me this beautiful card. I just love it. It's so beautiful. Left me a wonderful note, and so I've been flipping through all of these. I almost started 2 of them. I restrained myself. So she sent me Primitive Quilts and Projects Summer 2014. And so I've been looking through all of these magazines. I love them. I used to have a subscription to them, and then I ended up not renewing. And it's kind of one of those things where I've been kicking myself and I should renew it because it was always so much fun to get it in the mail. But I saw this quilt. I think I'm gonna have to make it. She sent me Log Cabin Star, which this one is so fantastic. And I almost started it immediately, but I was in the middle of finishing another quilt and I just was like, Olivia, you gotta simmer down. Primitive Quilts and Projects Fall 2014. I love this quilt on the front. Primitive Quilts and Projects Summer 2015. Gorgeous, so gorgeous. A pattern called Potluck by Joined at the Hip. I love it, love it, love it. This is one I'm gonna have to make for sure. Gratitude by Joan Morton. I just need to wait and see if it's one of, because Joan Morton has been re-releasing her past fabric lines. And if this is one of the ones that gets re-released, I'm getting it immediately. This one is called Full Circle by Whimsicals. I don't know if these guys still produce patterns, but the one on the back, I love it. This is also one that I need to stitch, and I have the star fabric. At least I think I do. I bought it for something else, but there might be enough that I can do both. Hearthside Stars by Jo Morton. If not, hopefully it's one of the ones she re-releases. And then of course the one on the back is fabulous, and there's other ones in here as well, and they're just all amazing. Amazing. I love all things Jo Morton. Pumpkin Table Runner, and I remember when these came out, especially the Snowman Table Runner, because I think my grandma bought it, and she made it, and I think she gifted it to my cousin, but I remember quilting it for her. This one is Harriet's Legacy, and it was a quilt that was featuring the American Women's Home Collection, Harriet Beecher Stowe fabrics. And I'm guessing it was probably like a freebie at the time. Whenever the different fabric lines would come out, they used to always have like some sort of a quilt along that you could do with the fabric line. This one's called Collection for a Cause Alliance. And I love this one. I almost started it immediately. And then Primitive Quilts and Projects. There is no date on it. I think it's one of their earlier ones. I love it. So I have been enjoying flipping through all of these patterns and making my plans. And when I was looking through one of the magazines, I came across the quilt that I made a couple of years ago, Pumpkin Patch. And so I thought it was kind of funny when I came across it. There it is. I just bought the pattern directly from Primitive Quilts and More, but I love that now I have it in the magazine. So it'll be much easier when I get it out and show it, and I can just be like, here's the magazine. So thank you so very much, Teresa. It was so sweet of you to send these to me, and there are so many quilts that are going to get made out of these patterns. I can't wait. So thank you so very much. Well, my friends, that brings me to the end of my video. I decided to bring Fred with me to say goodbye. I woke him up from his nap. I have no idea how long he'll let me hold him before he went down. But I thought I would show him looking all Mr. Shaggy. I love it. He's so cute. Look at his face. Huh. Anyway, I realized all the way now at the end of the video that I forgot to talk about the quilt that is hanging up behind me. And it is called the Temecula Album Quilt by Temecula Quilt Company. And it is a pattern that is still available on her website. And I'll put a link to her website down below. But I decided to change everything out a couple of weeks ago and go like kind of Americana. I still have a lot more that I will be putting out later on. But it was time to put spring away, and I didn't really have a whole lot of time to make the switch. So I just decided to put out what I could and kind of arrange it. The cross stitch that you see up behind me is Liberty House by Brenda Gervais. And then the little small Old Glory is Old Glory by Daisy K's Primitives. And I'll put a link to Daisy K's Etsy shop down below. Of course, the trench bowl is all bedazzled, and so maybe in my next video I will pull it out and talk about it. The plan for me will be to be back in June. I'm going to try really hard to be back maybe like the beginning, not like the beginning, but between like midway through the month. I plan on being back. So I hope you will come back and see what I have been working on. Again, thank you so very much to everybody who watched my previous video. I appreciate it so much. If you would like to see what I'm up to in between my videos, you can follow me on Instagram at Pumpkin Hollow Quilts. Or I do have a Facebook page called Pumpkin Hollow Quilting, and I will put a link to both of those places down below. Again, thank you so very much for stopping by, and I will see you guys again real soon. Bye-bye.